From the darkest corners of the creepy old house down the street to the screams in the night. Settle in, Parafamily, to join with Whitney and Brandon for another spooky episode of the Para-Unity Podcast.
Guess who's back?
It's Brandon.
Well, hello, Parafamily. Welcome to another episode of the Para-Unity Podcast. Tonight is a special night, and no, it's not just because I'm back.
But that is pretty wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes.
And it's not because we're only 6 days away from Christmas.
So that means it is 6 maids of milking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
No.
Okay.
6 geese a laying. 6 geese a laying. Damn it. It's 6 geese a laying. Sorry.
Well, in that case, let's talk about something a little different that happens in December. Because tonight we're going to be discussing a topic that floats in and out of the mainstream media and has completely surrounded a small American town that has also engrossed the world into the realms of cryptozoology.
Oh.
So no, we're not talking about Bigfoot. I know that's where a lot of people like to think.
Sorry, Betsy.
Sorry, Betsy. We've covered Bigfoot. We're good. Tonight, Parafamily, we will be discussing the dark harbinger of imminent disaster that inhabits an abandoned World War II TNT factory. It is synonymous with the Silver Bridge collapse on December 15th of 1967, where many people of this area that we're going to be talking about believe that these sightings gave people the precognitions of this terrible event. With its glowing red eyes focused on us, we will be discussing the Mothman.
What a man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty Mothman. Say it again. You know I was going to do that.
I know.
Off before. This is exciting. I love this. The story is just so mysterious to me, and I can't wait to just do this really big, deep dive into it, as much as we can anyway.
Well, and so the crazier part. So I was working on this for a while.
Yes, you
and were. Despite the in and outs of everything else that was going on in life. But every path I got onto to start following this would dead end. It's like I couldn't get a straight, full-on story on any direction. Even talking to everybody at the Mothman Museum.
Shout out to them.
In Point Pleasant. Amazing people. Some of the nicest people I've ever talked to.
Wow.
And anytime it was like, hey, can I get some information from you guys? It was
a big, big smile. And they're like, how much time do you have?
It was hey, we'll give you some book titles. No, why don't you give me an article that was in the newspaper when they talked to the people that saw it happen? Or maybe some descriptors or something like that. We'll give you book titles. Come visit us. Hey, we're open till 5. Hey, I'm 13 hours away from you.
I mean, you should have said something to me. I probably should have been able to get out there.
How dare you? How dare you, Whitney, not go for the team?
I mean, you should have asked me.
That's okay. It's okay. You already got enough tours and travels going on here in the next couple weeks, so.
Maybe weather permitting, and weather, of course, has a lot to do with, the Mothman and some of these appearances from what I'm seeing so far. But you know what? Before we get too far ahead into Mothman himself, let's go ahead and orient where we are in the world. So situated on the confluence of the Ohio and Kanawha rivers, and please, I apologize if I mispronounce anything. By the way, hello in the chat. I see that Gina is in there. So pop on in, friends. Anyway, Point Pleasant is a small town with a population of only about 5,000 people in West Virginia. Visiting the town's main street is like stepping into a time warp when life was much simpler. Many of the buildings still look the same as they did in the early 1900s, and the streets are full of mom and pop shops, eateries, museums, a historic and some say haunted hotel, a vintage movie theater that dates back to the 1940s, and a state park where the Battle of Point Pleasant took place. And what is the Battle of Point Pleasant? I'm glad you asked, friends. It is a battle that took place during the American Revolution on October 10th, 1774. So practically at the very beginning, and back at the time when West Virginia was still part of Virginia. I mean, it's true. But in any case, the Battle of Point Pleasant was fought on the future site of the actual town. There was over 1,000 Virginia militiamen led by Colonel Andrew Lewis, and they defeated a roughly equal force of Algonquin Confederation of Shawnee and Mingo warriors led by the Shawnee chief Cornstalk. Now, this event is celebrated locally in Point Pleasant as the first battle of the American Revolution War. And in 1908, the U.S. Senate authorized the erection of a local monument to commemorate this particular designation. Now, most historians, and actually I do have to agree with this because of all the time I've spent in the American Revolution, studying that history, wearing the costumes and all of that, a lot of historians do believe that the Battle of Point Pleasant is not a battle of the Revolution because of when it took place. And it is part of Lord Dunmore's War from 1774. Lord Dunmore was the last royal governor of Virginia. And after Dunmore's War, he kind of peaced out of Williamsburg, Virginia, with his wife and kids. If anyone wants to learn more about that, I'll gladly share information. But anyway, back to Point Pleasant itself. It also has a riverfront amphitheater where you can see beautiful sunsets and historic fine art murals on the mighty Ohio River, kind of similar to the mural projects we have going on in Richmond, Virginia, right along the James River. It's really cool. Now, there are just a few more things that add to the quaint and charming character of the town. Yes, folks, there's more. Point Pleasant is the heartbeat of small town Americana, rich with American history and a twist of the paranormal. So Mothman sightings may be rare in the modern day, but the hospitality shown to those who visit is not. Wow, those last few statements just sound like really interesting tourism slogan.
So I kid you not, that little section there, well, most of that section was actually on their city website.
I love it. I love it. And I actually know some people who have visited Point Pleasant, and I know they probably experienced something quite similar too. So,
but I love that the town embraces it, because it literally says a twist of the paranormal in it, because they're the ones that mention the haunted hotel,
which happens to be the historic Lowe Hotel, which opened in the early 1900s and apparently is haunted by many ghosts. The most well-known is the apparition of a beautiful and disheveled young woman who is seen dancing on the mezzanine between floors 1 and 2. And there's also rumored to be other ghosts, including the ghost of a toddler riding a tricycle on the second floor. Oh dear.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And moving on, the ghosts of a maid and a sea captain on the third floor, and a phantom string quartet that can be heard playing in the fourth floor ballroom. Phew, that's amazing.
All right, so Parafamily, here is your assignment America, as they do on, what is that? the family home video, America's Funniest Home Videos.
Oh God. Yes,
the name
there you go.
Assignment America.
Assignment America.
If you go there to Point Pleasant, stay at the Low Hotel, and I want to see you try and get them to give you a room on the top floor.
Really?
Because they say it's so haunted on the top floor that they don't rent them out.
Oh.
So
how many floors are on the hotel? Does
four,
the hotel
four or five? I
Okay.
believe 4 or 5. But yeah, so try, if you go there, try and stay on those top floors. If you want to sleep in a haunted hotel, it's super cool looking. But that's what I want to know. I want to know what it's like up on them top floors. Even if you don't actually get to stay, see if you can get up there.
And we'll make sure we post some images of the hotel in the show notes.
Yeah,
I think it sounds amazing.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh boy. Well, I'm actually into this. I actually do like West Virginia a lot, and West Virginia also has some very incredible haunted sites there, running from Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum to Lake Shawnee Amusement Park, and all sorts of amazing, rich history and folklore and culture. So, where does Mothman fit into all this?
Well, in West Virginia folklore, the Mothman is defined as a humanoid creature that's reportedly seen mostly in the Point Pleasant area from the dates of around November 15th of 1966 through December 15th of 1967. So it's about, 13 months, roughly?
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
So the first newspaper report was published in Point Pleasant Register. That was dated November 16th of 1966. The title of the news article is "Couple Sees Man-Sized Bird Creature Something." They're very good at their titles back then.
Bird. Creature.
Something.
Okay.
So the national press soon picked up on the reports and helped spread the story across the U.S. So the source of the legend is believed to have originated from sightings of out-of-migration sandhill cranes or herons. So if you're not familiar with these birds, these sandhill cranes stand close to human size.
Okay.
Wingspan of about 7 feet, full grown. And they have like fleshy red circles around their eyes where they don't grow feathers. It's just like red, kind of like the rooster flappy thing. I'm very technical tonight. Rooster flappy thing.
Or the turkey wobbler.
The turkey wobbler or the chicken thingy.
Interesting.
But that's the same type of look. It's that red kind of gross, fleshy looking. So, but that's what they are. Herons obviously are a little bit smaller. They're more usually gray. The sandhill cranes, the interesting part about this that I always thought was funny is everybody's like, oh, it's got to be these cranes. It's got to be these cranes. They're white.
And
they're white
is not
with black tipped wings. Okay. So I'm not sure how, other than the size and the red around the eyes, I don't understand where exactly it's coming from.
That is very interesting. And you know what? We'll also put up a picture of the sandhill crane to give everybody an idea of what that looks like, because now I'm curious.
You've never seen a sandhill crane before?
I might have, but obviously it was a very forgettable experience. I have been chased by wild turkeys before. That's fun. They're hideous.
Nobody likes turkeys.
Except when, never mind. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why that is. No, looking at the images of Mothman or the popularized visions of Mothman, that looks nothing at all.
Nope.
But
yeah, so not really sure. We have a lot of the blue herons around here in Iowa, especially like along the Mississippi. They usually stand about 4 feet at a high end, grayish blue color all the way through and through. Gorgeous birds. Gorgeous
Yeah.
birds. But not Mothman material. So, and there's a couple other things that have been reported with it that you're really going to find kind of interesting as we get digging into this a little bit deeper.
I think so too. So let's keep going. How did it expand to a wider audience?
So Mothman was introduced to the wider audience by Gray Barker in 1970, and it was later popularized by John Keel in his 1975 book, The Mothman Prophecies. So this is one of the big three. There's three main books for anybody doing their Mothman research or that's completely obsessed with the story and want to know more about it. So let's talk about them super fast, okay? There's obviously the Mothman Prophecies.
Yep.
There's Mothman Behind the Red Eyes.
Ooh.
And then Mothman Behind the Legends. I didn't write down the authors' names because I'm not that good of a script writer like you are, Whitney.
Oh, stop it. You're fine.
But those are the three main books that the Mothman Museum recommends that anybody that wants to do research into it. Those are the three books. I'll make sure that we put links into the show notes for the episode for those three books. Actually, the ironic thing is if you search any of those three books on Amazon, it'll show up a combo pack down below, where it says people have also bought this.
Yeah.
And it's like $50 and you get all three books.
No kidding.
Amazon combos it for you. Yeah, Amazon.
Yay. Wow.
Go
yeah,
Alexa.
one of the few times. Yay.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I've never read I certainly have not read the Mothman Prophecies, but I definitely saw the movie.
Right. Well, yeah, everybody's seen the movie. It's a great movie.
It is a decent movie.
So, but anyways, so John Keel in his book, The Mothman Prophecies, he claimed that there was supernatural events related to the sightings, and there was a connection to the collapse of the Silver Bridge. So, and like we were talking about the book, this was the book that was adapted into the movie. It was 2002 with Richard Gere and
Laura Linney, I think, was also Laura Linney or Julianne Moore, one of those two.
I don't know. It was Richard Gere. I don't think anybody really cared after that.
I mean, wow.
Oh my gosh.
All right. And also, they did kind of modernize the Mothman Prophecies movie, setting it more in the 1990s to early 2000s. So let's get back into the 1960s. Let's go to that night on November 15th, 1966. So Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Mallett reportedly saw a quote, large flying man with 10-foot wings, unquote, with glowing red eyes when they were driving along State Route 62 just north of Point Pleasant. And I can imagine that was some very dark roads, probably a lot of trees. You did say that this was out by an old TNT factory. And from what I've heard, that area is now a nature preserve. So this is pretty isolated and out there.
Well, hopefully it's still somewhat isolated, at least with the buildings that are still standing, because there are reports that there's still TNT in some of them buildings.
Oh, crap. So that's menacing enough. But what else is menacing is the figure itself standing 6 to 7 feet tall near the abandoned National Guard Armory building and power plant. Panicking,
right. Well, hold on a second.
Go ahead. Yes. Hey, I was in the story, but go ahead.
I know. And I'm going to cut you up.
Revenge.
So think about the three things that we've learned about this.
Okay.
In this area. So it's isolated somewhat, right?
As far as we know, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. I Google mapped it. I had to know.
Okay, cool.
Anyways, so it's isolated. There's three main buildings that are very, very nearby with this. You have the TNT plant.
Okay.
Right. Which is it's a building, but it's kind of almost like a cave, kind of.
I've seen images of this. It's almost like the best way I could describe it is if anybody has seen the domes in Arizona, except not in the middle of the desert, it's kind of like that.
Right. Think of it like hole in the wall of stone with a big metal door.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So you have this place, the TNT factory, right? You have the National Guard Armory building,
right?
Which anybody knows with military, you never really truly know what's going on in those locations. And then the last one was a power plant.
So that kind of makes me a little nervous.
So you're talking limestone, rock, natural stuff. You're talking power plants producing energy.
Coal.
You're talking the National Guard Armory. I mean, just saying.
You're also up there in West Virginia, which is coal mine territory.
Mm-hmm.
So that's...
Yeah, but this isn't going to be Loretta Lynn flying through the air with glowing red eyes. So
I mean, but that would be cool because she was... Rest in peace, Loretta Lynn. Who had a haunted house of her own, too.
Right. Okay, another episode.
Anyway, yes.
Go back to the story.
Okay, well, obviously, seeing all this, Roger Scarberry, who apparently was behind the wheel that night while these two couples were probably out there doing what couples do, and he immediately sped away from the large gray creature making their way to Point Pleasant while the cryptid followed. Now, how were they able to see it was gray?
Headlights.
Oh. Unless it was, I mean, it's following them. Oh boy. Well, let's see what they described. I mean, because they went straight, once they arrived in Point Pleasant, they made a beeline to the police. And they stated that the thing rose up like a helicopter. Though saying it was a quote unquote clumsy runner. So apparently they saw it on the ground and it ran after them. But it excelled in gliding, easily keeping pace with the car, even though the car reached up to 100 miles per hour, and it also screeched at them as it followed. Now, Roger's wife, Linda, described it as a slender, muscular man, about 7 feet tall, with white wings, and said that she was unable to discern the face due to the hypnotic effect of its eyes.
Right. So... And you were correct. So when they first saw it, it was standing next to one of the buildings. So I'm wondering if it didn't have like a spotlight or something that they could see the coloration in. And then they saw that and they were like, nope, see ya, bye-bye, and took off. And then
I don't blame them. That's pretty
started screeching and went straight up and then out.
So a couple things.
Well, actually, it was chasing after them. It was running first, and then it shoom. Yeah.
Why am I seeing Darkwing Duck? I'm sorry, I am. Darkwing Duck. Let's get dangerous.
And this is the exact reason why we have guests on our show, because when it's just the two of us, we don't know how to stay on topic.
Yeah, we do. In fact, I'm going back on it. So the couples that had seen, the couples had seen this bizarre creature. They dubbed it the Mothman in the TNT area. And it was called the TNT area because during World War II, that whole region, which comprised of more than 8,000 acres, was devoted to an ammunition manufacturing facility that also employed a few thousand people at its peak of production. So that's an interesting little tidbit right there.
Mm-hmm. It's what kept the city going. They had the mines and they had the TNT factory during the war.
And now they got Mothman.
And now you have Mothman.
But let's get back more into that. So surely now I'm not going to lie. I find it very fascinating, but I'm a little on the fence because of these descriptions. It feels like Linda and Roger are describing, I don't see any consistency with their descriptions, really.
Well, one of the things that you should probably point out is Linda's issue was she was having a hard time handling it or witnessing it because
True.
it was creating a hypnotic and trance-like effect on her. Something. So this is one of the parts that it was hard to dig in deeper on, because nobody really wanted to say much. But there are different reports saying that the screeching, much like a bat screeches, is the sonar sound of the screeching affects people mentally or audibly and visually.
Okay.
They also say that it's similar to a white noise sound that messes with your head.
Okay.
And then there's also people that say that the red eyes are able to be hypnotic, kind of like some like snakes and stuff that can kind of paralyze and hypnotize. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And that's interesting. Going back to the sound idea, there was somebody that was talking about something called infrasound, which some people believe that was the cause of the scattering and the fear of the poor folks at the Dyatlov Pass incident
Yeah,
back in
well,
1959.
and another thing along with that too is there are animals that use sounds to hunt.
That's true.
So they produce a sound that stuns other animals, and we're not just talking Pokemon.
And incidentally, Ash and Pikachu's adventure is ending.
Yeah. Oh well.
After 25 years. Oh well. Pika. Anyway, so yeah, that you had to bring up Pokemon.
Maybe
I mean, we're for everybody.
Maybe he should have chased Mothman instead of Pikachu.
Isn't there like a Mothman kind of Pokemon? But anyway,
I have no clue.
I wouldn't be surprised. But so what happened next? Was this a one-time thing?
Well, yes and no. So over the next few days, other people reported similar sightings. So local newspapers started reporting on it. 2 volunteer firemen who saw it said it was a large bird with red eyes, which goes back to that crane, sandhill crane.
Yeah.
Mason County Sheriff George Johnson commented that he believes the sightings were due to an unusually large heron that he termed I'm going to say this wrong because I've giggled every time I saw it, but it looks like it says shit pokey.
It might say shite poke.
And that could be the way it's said, but
Yeah.
I have a childlike mind, and I thought it said shit pokey, which made me giggle every time.
Shit and shite are kind of the same thing.
Right.
Keep in mind, West Virginia, a lot of the folks that were settling in the region of Appalachia. I'm the worst at this. In the Appalachian Mountains, it's basically a lot of Scotch-Irish.
Yeah. Well, whatever he pronounced it, it's Shitepoke. If anybody wants to correct me, you go ahead.
Or let us know what it is. But an unusually large bird. Okay.
Or you can go shit pokey.
Damn. All right.
And there goes our parental advisory. Contractor Newell Partridge told Johnson that when he aimed a flashlight at a creature in his nearby field, its eyes glowed like bicycle reflectors. So additionally, he blamed the buzzing noises that people were reporting that they heard was from his television set.
Which is back in that day. Yeah.
Yeah, possible.
Do not adjust your television set.
However, he did blame the disappearance of his German Shepherd on the creature.
You know what this sounds like? This sounds an awful lot like the Jersey Devil.
Maybe he was on vacation.
I mean, you never know. Maybe he thought the mountains were nice. Maybe he wanted to get out of the Pine Barrens. I mean,
who wouldn't?
Well, I mean, a bunch of
pine trees. They're all stuck close together. You can't do anything. It's no fun. However, anyways, all in all, Whitney, there was about 100 100 reports that came in about the Mothman in the Point Pleasant area alone. And that's just the ones that were actually reported. And then, like I said, oddly enough, with this, many of the witnesses also reported having both eye and or ear trauma in connection with those sightings.
That's very interesting. And
so
I actually would like to learn more. Yeah, I actually would like to learn more about it. So any of our more medical adept listeners, give us some more knowledge about that, about eye and ear trauma and how that's connected with experiences and sightings. That's kind of interesting. So going on the biology. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go on the biology side of things. So there's a guy named Robert L. Smith. He was a wildlife biologist at West Virginia University. And I'm guessing he was contacted as kind of like an expert that could possibly explain this away. I mean, it makes sense to me. But he told reporters that the descriptions and sightings of the Mothman all fit the description of the sandhill crane, which we mentioned earlier. And Brandon was polite enough to show up a picture on the live feed, which will not show up on the audio podcast. But it's a large American crane, almost as tall as a man, with a 7-foot wingspan and featuring circles of reddish coloring around the eyes. So the bird may have wandered out of its migration route and was therefore unrecognized at first because it's not native to this region. So,
well, you're a perfect example of this, Whit. So think about it. No. Listen.
Okay.
You had never seen a sandhill crane before until
I haven't.
If you saw one in your backyard or flying by, wouldn't it make you stop and be like, what was that?
I would actually question what was that, mostly if it was flying, because that's a big bird.
It is. But the thing with cranes you have to remember is, so they have kind of a, like the S-shaped neck where it kind of like comes off and then kind of goes up. So it's almost like the flying dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, like that. That's the kind of neck that they have. So I mean, I don't get the Mothman vibe from that.
I'm not really either. I mean, and also, are they nocturnal? Because aren't these reports coming from the nighttime? Well, that started back in November of 1966, and 100 sightings over the course of a little over a year. And then something else happens, and it kind of does a lot to put Mothman on the map. So, Brandon, what's the incident?
Well, like we talked about in the beginning, December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed under the weight of rush hour traffic, resulting in the deaths of 46 people.
Wow.
So, weird thing with that. Well, not really weird because it's over a river, but 2 of the victims were actually never found. They did a deep dive investigation onto the wreckage, and it pointed the cause of the collapse being the failure of it's a single eye bar in a suspension chain. So you're talking about a piece of metal about that big. And
Brandon is basically holding his fingers up in a circle.
Think of it like maybe a silver dollar.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so it's about that big in a suspension chain. So you have your chains that are interlinking, and it was a defect in a single chain link. So this defect was literally 0.1 inches deep. So,
ouch.
So think of it for our the other measurements. There was the
metric system.
Metric. That's the word.
that the rest of the world uses.
Right. 2.5 millimeters deep.
That's really
like this. So this much of this thing that was defected
And it
caused that
just
entire bridge to go down. So analysis showed that the bridge was carrying much heavier loads than it was ever designed for and been poorly maintained. So,
ouch.
yeah, whoopsie,
That's
our
horrible.
bad.
Not the first time something like that's happened.
Yep. The nice thing is the collapsed bridge was replaced by the Silver Memorial Bridge, which was completed in 1969. So literally they knocked out a brand new one in 2 years.
Oh, great. Hopefully it works better now.
Well, it's still up. So
hey, good to know.
It's still standing. It's still used.
Do you know how old the Silver Bridge was, the original bridge?
Yeah, I can tell you.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
Of course, you got to ask me these questions while I'm reading stuff. But no.
I'm sorry. You can ask me questions too. And in fact, chat, please give us questions. In fact, I see Tina Fleury, our friend on the chat. Hi, Tina. Happy holidays. Gail Williams is also up on the chat too. And also our friend from a couple episodes back, Sin Schrader Hill of EVP Elk Valley Paranormal, and author. She just had a book come out. So give her some love. Hey, ladies. Hey, friends. All right.
1928.
28 to 67. Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So it was built in 1928, and it was named for the color of the aluminum paint that they put on it. So it's like I said, it's an I-bar chain suspension bridge.
And it just, from poor maintenance and just poor calculation of how much loads were actually being carried on the bridge.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not going to go into the depths of how the chain bridge construction works or how it holds it. Nobody wants to listen to that unless you design bridges. Important thing to know, little tiny defect in a little tiny chain took the whole thing down to the ground.
So what does that have to do with the Mothman?
So on the day of the Silver Bridge collapse, several people reported seeing the Mothman flying right above the bridge. The Mothman sightings in and around Point Pleasant, oddly enough, ceased on December 15th of 1967. Same exact day the Silver Bridge collapsed. And having him disappear in the sightings and magically just stop on that day as the bridge dropped just solidifies this incident into the legend of the Mothman. So that just completely said, yep, these are connected.
Interesting.
For Evie's.
Wow. And also, just so you know, folks, that the anniversary of the bridge collapse was 4 days ago. So
happy anniversary.
That was bad, dude. But
so is your Mothman song at the beginning.
Hey, okay, I can't take full credit for that. I really can't. But here we go.
Okay.
All right.
So here's the interesting part about Mothman, though.
Okay, yes.
Everybody says he's a harbinger of imminent danger, right? Like we said in the intro. He brings the bad things around, right? Yeah, that's pretty awesome, I know.
I mean, harbingers are popular in folklore.
True story. So I was able to find a bunch of different sightings of Mothman from around the world because a town of 5,000 people is not big enough for this cool of a dude. He needs to spread his wings.
I will give that. That was good. That was good. Okay, so where has he been seen? Well, let me give a try. First off, to all of our international listeners, I apologize for our pronunciations. So, in America, first Mothman sightings were reported in 1966, but Mothman reports have been seen earlier than that in other countries in the world. First, there was a figure called the Man Dragon, and it was seen by several people in the region of, China, Shantaedam, and I'm probably saying that wrong. My Mandarin is not that good, but I'm going to try. Let me try that again. Xiantedam in China in early January 1926. Interesting. And then on January 19th, the dam in that region collapsed, and over 15,000 people lost their lives due to the flooding. Oh, wow.
Check.
Okay, so let's...
Harbinger, check.
All right. So let's move on to... Okay, so how about this? According to the Georgian newspaper, Svobodnaya Gruzia, again, my apologies to listeners in the country of Georgia. The Russian ufologists claimed that the Mothman sightings in Moscow foreshadowed the 1999 Russian apartment bombings. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, but here's a good one, and this is actually one that I've heard. Yep, check. So apparently reported sightings of the Mothman occurred before the Chernobyl disaster on April 26th, 1986. I actually have heard that. That's interesting too. And then there's another one. On September 10th, 1978, a mine collapsed in Freiburg, Germany, resulting in the loss of many lives. 21 miners who were due to work that day were scared away by the sight of a Mothman-type creature at the entrance to the mine, and it became known as the Freiburg Shrieker. Ooh, I like the name of that. That's kind of cool.
Well, and there's that shrieking again.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting. I hope everybody is taking note of how many things are taking place around industrial sites. Have you noticed that? Because I have.
Yep.
Anyway, according to a website that's run by the Fortean researcher Lon Strickler, over 55 sightings of Mothman have occurred in Chicago during 2017. That's okay. And then in 2016, WCHS-TV published a photo purported to be of Mothman taken by an anonymous man while driving on Route 2 in Mason County. Science writer Sharon A. Hill proposed that the photo showed, quote, a bird, perhaps an owl, carrying a frog or snake away, unquote, and wrote that, quote, there is zero reason to suspect it as the Mothman as described in legend. There are too many far more reasonable explanations, unquote. Interesting.
She's a hater.
Well, I mean, I want to see that. Maybe we should find a copy of that picture and see if we could get it up in the show notes and get y'all's take on it. That's, if anybody has also seen this photo, let us know, because we'd love to know your take on it.
You ready for my wild card mic drop?
If it has to do with a folklorist, let's do it. And I know this folklorist.
No, it doesn't have to do with this folklorist.
Okay, what does this have to do?
Mic drop outside of the script, because I found out about this after I sent this to you.
Okay, beautiful.
Supposedly, in the capital of Ukraine, there was reports of Mothman about a week before the Russian invasion. Supposedly.
Hand drop.
Yeah, drop that mic, right?
And
yeah,
we're talking about Kiev. We're talking about Kiev, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They say it was somewhere near Kiev and Chernobyl in that vicinity.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mothman had supposedly made an appearance before the Chernobyl meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. So
I found 12 different reports of it. Nothing that I could 100% confirm, but with Mothman, you kind of have to take a little bit of the, you know what I mean?
Yes. So
he kind of weaves in and out of fan and fiction or fact and fiction, and
yes, it's interesting. All right, so There's a lot. There's a lot to unpack here.
There is. I was trying to see if I could find the photo while we were talking.
All right. Well, while you're
Mason.
looking, you know what? I'll just continue with some analysis from one of my favorite folklorists, Jan Harold Brunvand, of the Vanishing Hitchhiker and Other Stories fame. He notes that the Mothman has been widely covered in the popular press, some claiming sightings connected with UFOs, and others claiming that a military storage site was Mothman's quote-unquote home. Now, Brunvand notes that recounting of the 1966 to 1967 Mothman reports usually state that at least, and now we're pausing to look, what the hell? So this is one of the more recent pictures from Ukraine.
No, this is the picture from 2016 that the lady said was a bird.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. All right. That is I mean, regardless of what it is, it's a crazy looking picture.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, it looks like a bug squashed on a windshield to me. It's like, but it is a strange picture. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what to think about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Brunvand, back to his analysis. Back from the 1966 to 67 reports, they usually state that at least 100 people saw Mothman, with many more, quote unquote, afraid to report their sightings. But observed that written sources for such stories consisted of children's books or sensationalized or undocumented accounts that failed to quote identifiable persons. So Brunvand found elements in common among the Mothman reports and much older folk tales, suggesting that something real may have triggered the scares and then became woven with the existing folklore. And he also records anecdotal tales of Mothman supposedly attacking the roofs of parked cars occupied by teenagers, doing the things they aren't supposed to be doing.
Oh my God.
Because Jan Harold Brunvand was the guy that really coined urban legends.
Yes, he was.
So there you go. That's it's an interesting thought. What else do you think has been said?
Well, Joe Nickel, I have no clue who he is, but apparently he's somebody because he was in a lot of the reports that I saw that was talking about it. But he says a number of hoaxes followed the publicity generated by the original reports, such as a group of construction workers who tied flashlights to helium balloons. No. They took helium balloons and flashlights and put little red covers on the flashlights and then let them go. So it looked like red eyes floating through the air.
I mean, that's cute, but who has time to do that?
I don't know.
Man.
Nickel attributes Mothman stories to sightings of barred owls.
Okay.
Suggesting that the Mothman's glowing eyes were actually the red eye effect caused by the reflection of light from flashlights or other bright light sources. Kind of like deer.
Right.
Or like the kids' pictures when you used to take them in the 90s before we had phone cameras.
Filters.
Filtered the red eyes and, gave you the extra long eyelashes. And
Are your children demonically possessed? Look at this picture and you'll see.
Right, exactly. So Benjamin Radford, who is another unlabeled person that we should listen to, points out that the only report of glowing red eyes was a secondhand report, that of Shirley Hensley quoting her father. So literally, he's trying to say that the red eyes didn't actually exist on Mothman. He's trying to say, well, that girl was saying that her father said that he said this, yeah. So
Very true.
Yeah, so he tried to shoot it down.
Interesting.
However, on the plus side, ufologists, paranormal authors, cryptozoologists, all of them all claim that Mothman is an alien, or well, he's an alien or a supernatural manifestation or some kind of previously unknown species of animal. So nobody knows. Nobody knows. In
Nobody knows.
1970, in the 1975 book that we were talking about, Keel claimed that the Point Pleasant residents experienced precognitions, including premonitions of the collapse of the Silver Bridge. They also claimed to see UFO sightings, had visits from Inhumans or people threatening them, like the Men in Black, and other phenomena were going on. So apparently, in this 13-month window of Mothman in Point Pleasant, we now have the Mothman. We now have UFOs. We now have the Men in Black. And then there's other phenomena that was going on that no one will talk about.
And also it sounded like a lot of people were having visions of something happening to the Silver Bridge, which also makes me wonder how many people actually really believed that something was actually wrong with that bridge.
Right. Well,
but, I mean, yeah, we'll never really know, I don't think. Have you ever heard of the documentary called Hellier?
Yes.
Okay, because they definitely get into, for those who don't know, it's on Amazon Prime. As far as I know, it could be on some other streaming services, but I saw it on Amazon Prime. Greg Newkirk, who is this really cool paranormal investigator, researcher. He's basically got his thumbs in all the different paranormal fields. He and his wife and a couple of friends actually started to track down what initially was based on the Hopkinsville Goblin case. But then they realized there were connections or synchronicities that kind of lined up with the Mothman incidents in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. So they actually went there, and apparently there was somebody there that they talked to that knew Mothman and actually talked with this individual, said that it was an alien named Indrid Cold or something like that.
That's in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of Mothman prophecies. Yeah.
Yeah. They, yeah. I haven't heard that name in a long time. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm wondering if anything's going to happen to us after saying that. Because let's go back.
You said it, not me. I've gone through enough. I've missed enough episodes. It's on you. Love you.
Yeah, but I'm the cute one.
Oh well.
Anyway, well, before we kind of get back into speculating a little bit, let's leave some time to speculate. But I do want to go back to our chat because we have Allie Schmalls who popped on to say, "Oh, you know her, good."
Yeah,
who
we're on
popped
our
on
team
to
together.
say that nice. Well, she said it's on her bucket list to go to the Mothman Festival because how can that not be a good time? And a new friend of the show, Nicole Lynn, has hopped on saying she's always wanted to go to the festival as well. So Point Pleasant held its first annual Mothman Festival in 2002, same year that the movie came out. The Mothman Festival began brainstorming creative ways for people to actually visit Point Pleasant. The group organizing the event chose the Mothman to be front and center of the festival because of its uniqueness. And it also was a way to celebrate the local legacy in the town. And according to event organizer Jeff Wamsley, and I've heard that name before, the average attendance for the Mothman Festival is an estimated 10 to 12,000 people per year. I hope it didn't suffer from COVID, but you never know. They also, and we've seen this before too, because it's right outside, a 12-foot tall metallic statue of the creature created by artist and sculptor Bob Roach was unveiled in 2003. The Mothman Museum and Research Center opened in 2005. And of course, as Brandon said, he consulted with them for this episode. So thank you, folks at the Mothman Museum and Research Center for your help.
We'll put a link to the Mothman Museum in the show notes too. because the guy I talked to, Jeff, is super knowledgeable, super nice. He's always up for asking questions. They did actually have a gentleman that I was going to have lined up to be a guest tonight that works there.
Nice.
However, his health is not in the greatest, and we could not do it.
Well, we might actually have another opportunity to get him on the show. That would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The cool thing about their website is they have a 24/7 live feed of the statue.
Oh.
So at any time, if you're feeling a little mothy, you can hop on their website, pull up the live stream. The other day, I turned it on for a little bit just for S&Gs, right?
Yeah.
And there was a little girl dancing in front of the Mothman with a Santa hat. I was dying of laughter. It was amazing. And it's like, I have now determined that if I am having a bad day, I am turning on my Mothman live feed.
That sounds great.
Just to watch it.
That sounds amazing.
But they have a gift shop. They have life-size statues. They literally have every news article and report about Mothman in their museum. Wow. They have photos of the bridge collapse, all the info about that. Literally everything you could possibly want about Mothman, they have in this museum. And it's literally right across the street from where the statue is. It's the statue's like off to the side of it. So you'd have to like walk around to the side of the building. It's dirt cheap to get in. I think it's like $5 for admission.
That's pretty good.
You can spend hours. I mean, hours in this museum. And they have stuff for the kids too. So the kids can go and get jamming on Mothman in their museum. So, I mean, I can't say enough good things about them. I was so apprehensive about contacting them at first, thinking it was going to be one of those deals where it's like super hokey, you know, like the roadside ball yarn type thing. And no, they're super amazing people.
Fun fact, I actually have a friend that runs a place like that has the big ball of yarn. And it's wonderful. I mean, it's great. But anyway,
I should have repped Iowa better because we have a town nearby that has the world's largest frying pan.
Oh wow!
The name of the town
into the fire
is Brandon.
And on that happy note, please also remember that the festival, it's held on the third weekend of every September, and it has guest speakers, vendor exhibits, pancake eating contests, and hayride tours of locally notable areas. So come for Mothman, but stay for the town. That's what it sounds like.
September 17th and September 18th, 2023. Plus, the Friday night before, there's a Kickstarter that they do. It's this is going to be the big one. So if you're going to go this one because it's the 50-year anniversary.
That does sound really cool. So on the 50-year anniversary, let's speculate for just a moment. Brandon, you've done all this amazing research and put this together. What do you think happened? What do you think Mothman is?
Well, sorry, I got distracted by the chat. Allie said,
yeah,
pretty sure you're supposed to slap the Mothman statue's butt.
I double dare you.
Allie, I want to see that video when you go there.
Let us know, Allie.
You will be live streaming me. We are on a team together, so you know how to contact me. I want the live stream of my friend Allie slapping the Mothman's butt.
I want to see this.
I will die a happy man at that point. No, I don't know. I want to say it's folklore. I want to say it's something that people are making it up, but I can't. I've been in I've been in the paranormal long enough now to know that I can't say I'm a skeptic to everything because I've seen things and experienced things that I can't explain. So I want to say nope, it's just a coincidence. No, it's a big bird or something like that. Snuffle up, I guess. But I can't. I think it could be something legitimate, especially considering they've been seeing it in all sorts of other places, connected with all the other horrible things that have happened. And we've lost our chat to the butt smacking.
I mean, hey, if that chat, if that makes you happy, anytime you guys go to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and you get to the Mothman statue, let us know you're there. Send me a text. I want to watch you do that. And now I want to watch the live feed video of the statue because I want to see somebody. I mean, like
we want to see some good Mothman butt slapping going on.
Well, not just that, but I want to see people. People, it sounds like when they go there, they're having fun. They're happy. Yeah. And so I don't know if I necessarily want to view Mothman as a harbinger necessarily of doom.
But he is. He is.
He is. But then also this, as you said you saw this adorable little girl go in front of the statue and dance around it. So
yeah, I don't know if it had any connection to actually being Mothman or not, or if she was dancing because it was an area where she could dance.
I mean, either. I mean, that tracks too. You and I are both parents. We know how kids operate.
Right.
So,
right. Exactly.
I don't know I don't know what the Mothman is either. I mean, I'm intrigued. I don't know if I really want to dive down the deeper well of figuring everything out. I think it's just like, remember when we did Bridgewater Triangle and they said that Bridgewater Triangle just is. Well, I think maybe Mothman just is.
And, that very well could be. I mean, as much as I don't want to see it in real life.
Oh, come on.
Because if I get across a creature that's taller than me, can fly 100 miles an hour gliding, and shrieks and makes your eyes and your ears get screwed up, I don't know.
I want to learn a little bit more about that phenomenon because that's weird. I mean, not just the eye and ear trauma, but you were telling us about the Fresno night crawlers back with their
the night walkers, yeah.
back with the urban legends episode and with the black-eyed kids and the sense of dread you get. That just sounds like it's all part of the similar phenomenon. I really want to learn more about that, on what it does to the body.
Well, and it's interesting, especially since they're connecting the black-eyed, or not the black-eyed kids. Now you got me all thrown off. The men in black, rather, and the UFOs and stuff like that.
I think it's been a hell of a year. So, yeah, I'm looking at the chat too, and Nicole said that there's haunted bunkers nearby, which to me makes a lot of sense considering it's right there at this old ammunitions factory. Yeah. Sin says, I don't think I'd slap the Mothman statue's butt just in case that's a taunt to him. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, let us know, folks. I
keep getting Futurama stuck in my head with this whole thing, because the statue's like bright, shiny metal, and I always think of Bender. Kiss my shiny.
Yeah, I see that. Although, here's the deal, guys. If you do go out and try to find Mothman, I hope you have a good time doing that. But be careful out there because it is The original location is now a nature preserve, and we also don't know what's still in there. Brandon said that there's probably still some TNT in those factories. So walk with care, walk with respect, and ask questions. You never know what you may find.
Very true.
Yeah.
Whitney, you got your Mothman episode.
I got it. Next time I'm going to give you an episode on the vanishing hitchhiker. That'll be fun.
That would be fun.
But that will not be the first episode after we come back from break. We have a really killer lineup of guests and ideas and shows that will take us all the way straight to the end of our season. We're going to go on break to enjoy the holidays, and we hope everybody around the world, you enjoy your holidays, be blessed, and we love you guys so much.
Yeah, however you celebrate it, wherever you celebrate it safely. Have a great time. Love your family, love your friends. Make sure you're around to come back and watch the rest of the season or listen to the rest of the season. Participate in the chats.
Yes, please.
Hang out with us.
Helps. Yeah, definitely. And also thank you for being all of you this first half of the year. Thank you all for being so kind to me as I ran the show solo a couple of times. And
Nailed it.
I'm sorry.
Nailed it. You did good.
Thank you. That means a lot.
You did good.
And again, guys, thank you all again for tuning in tonight. And if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please remember to take a second to rate us 5 stars, or more importantly, leave us a review, because those reviews help us get the word out about the show. And we want to hear your feedback to make the show better.
That is correct, Whitney. And if you're an Android listener, you can follow us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, or simply say, Alexa, play that Para-Unity podcast.
That tickles me still.
So you never miss an episode. I am running out of different ways I can say that. You know that? Because we've done it on so many episodes now.
I know.
But
it's
so
still hard to believe.
It's so much fun. I love it because you'll get distracted in what you're saying, because we always say the same thing at the end when you do the episodes on your own, but you'll kind of start to fade off, and then you'll be like, Alexa,
because Alexa's awesome.
Exactly. Anyways, yes. So iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, blah blah blah. So you never miss an episode. Remember, if you like the show, tell a friend. If you want to be a guest on the show or just want more Para-Unity, please join us on our Facebook or Instagram pages. And if you would like to help support the show, stop by our website and buy us a coffee. We don't ever ask for money, but it would be nice.
It does help.
It does. We do have some costs that we cover out of pocket to keep this show running. And I mean, it's been, we're coming up 4 years now, almost in March.
4
years.
God. 2 years for me. Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
That's insane.
If you love the show, want to keep her rolling, or if you're feeling a little generous in your holiday spirit, go buy us a coffee on the website.
Yay.
But my name is Brandon.
And I'm Whitney, and you have been listening to the best place to bring our paranormal family a little closer together, the Para-Unity podcast. And quick shout out to, I'm actually going to start plugging other podcasts, if you don't mind. I want to plug tonight the Midnight Library, which is the younger podcast of Astonishing Legends. And I know Brandon and I are kind of fans of Astonishing Legends. Yep. So this is their sister podcast. Midnight Library is a beautiful, dark, gorgeous storytelling. It could take place in a familiar location, or maybe not, but please listen to the show. It is amazing. So the Midnight Library. And good night, everyone. And merry, happy holidays.
There you go. Merry, happy holidays.